وحول الأرباح ونسل كالأصول. يعني أن الأرباح من كانت لديه نقود، من كانت لديه الآن $1000 لا زكاة فيها، أنا على سبيل المثال كانت عندك $1000 لا زكاة فيها، و5 دنانير لا زكاة فيها، لكنك ملكتهم الآن ما هذا الشهر، هذا شهر الحجة، ملكتهم الآن واتجرت فيهم، ولكن لما دار السنة الآتية صار في الحجة فإذا هي 20 دينارا أو فإذا هي 3500 للأرباح سك جميل، كأنها كانت موجودة الزكاة. حول الأرباح ونسل، حول الأرباح كأصولها فكأنها كانت موجودة.
So then as far as نعم هما سيحتارون لأن هم متعودين على شيء. So as far as the
هاي التجارة، هاي التجارة.
As far as somebody's, if they're trading with the money that they have,
يعني
as far as
تاجر.
the Maliki madhab, you're paying on that particular wealth. It's not on the net total or whatever, all the money that you have. It's on that particular like lump of gold or lump of money that you got. Once you receive it, if it is less than the nisab, then you still take into account, I received this much at this time. A year later, you look at that particular money. If you had invested it and now it had become, had reached the 20 dinars or the 200 dirhams level, then even though it wasn't that to begin with at the beginning of the year, at like a year previously, and even though a year hadn't passed on it being more than the nisab, then you would give zakah on it. It's a little bit.
Is it because you're withholding it for a year?
No, it's because the zakah on the money that is being invested is not now in the starting capital. It is on the how much it ended at the end of the year. If it started off less than the nisab, but then you're trading it and you're making money off it.
من الربح فقط، ليس من هدية ولا من صدقة ولا من إرث.
It's from the profit of that money itself. Like if you got a separate money from inheritance or as a gift or whatever, you don't. That's not included as profit. Profit is that money that you invested. So if now you invested, if it started off less than the nisab, but then after investing ended greater than the nisab, even though a year has passed on it, and at the beginning of the year it wasn't at the nisab, still you pay zakah on it because you take into account what it ended up being, turning into.
لأن الربح كان محسوبا موجودا، لما قدر كان موجودا.
So you calculate the profit as if it was there from the beginning, meaning.
That is the net or the profit crosses the nisab?
This is
total amount.
The net, yeah.
Net. Okay.
So you calculate the profit as a part of the original.
أنا الجميع.
So all of it, yeah, you pay on the net.
كما لمن ملك يعني $1000 في الحجة.
It was gross, like gross, not net.
Yeah, it's gross.
Gross. Yes.
Gross,
So everything that you have.
Yeah, everything.
Not everything that you have total. Everything that you have as far as this wealth is particular.
So you separated your money into your normal money and your investing money. Your investing money is everything in that, not just your net or gross. Everything. Because gross and net apply to profits. What you invested in is like all the money.
What you invested in, that money itself.
Yeah. The seed
you
money.
count the seed money plus the profit that was earned out of it.
Yeah.
وحول الأرباح ونسل، النسل لا يوجد عندكم هنا لأن المسلمين هنا لا يملكون الحيوان. كما لما كانت عنده 20 من الغنم، كانت عنده 20 من الغنم، فولدت قبل انتهاء الحول فإذا هي 40 فليزكيها أيضا.
And same goes for if a person has less than the amount of animals required for zakat, but then a year, the time passes, and then they.
قبل انتهاء السنة يكمل النصاب.
But before the end of the year, the nisab is reached. Like he had 30, and then they gave birth to some, and then now he ends up with 40. He pays the zakat.
والطاري لا عما يزكى يحول. أما الأشياء جديدة ليست ربحا ولا نسلا، لا هذه انتظر بها حول جديد. كمثل من ورث مالا الآن كانت عنده 20 دينار وورثها أموال أخرى، هاي لا يضمها يستقبل
But as far as money that is earned or gained from outside of profits and outside of like progeny of like the animals that he had and so on, then this is counted for its own hawl. So somebody gets an inheritance, for example, this would be, he would count, okay, I got the inheritance on this day, and then and if it reached nisab, then he would count a year from that time that the inheritance was gotten. So a person can have, in the Maliki Madhab, several nisabs on the different types of wealth that they have.
هذا بالنسبة للذهب والفضة. أما بالنسبة للحيوانات، بالنسبة للغنم والبقر والإبل، فإذا كان ما قبله نصابا فيضم إليه، وإذا كان أقل من نصاب فليستقبل. بالنسبة للنقود، النقود لا يضم الإرث والفوائد لما كان قبلها، كله على حدته. أما بالنسبة للأنعام الغنم والإبل والبقر، فهذا إذا كان الأول نصابا يضم إليه، وإن كان غير نصاب فلا يضم إليه، يستقبل الجميع.
So then, as far as the سمح لي شيخ لا أريد أن أقطع
نعم، إذا كان الذهب والفضة الفوائد وحدها.
So as far as if it is الفوائد،
الذهب أنا ما استفدته من إرث أو هبة أو صدقة، هاي الفائدة أنا ليس عن ربح.
So as far as the currency or a gold, silver, there's a word for it. For
غير النعم.
The sharpest. So then this person, as we said, if it's a different type of money that they received or money that they earned from something else outside of that money actually leading to that profit, then it is it doesn't get added on to the rest or tacked on as an increase or be counted now to turn something that wasn't nisab into nisab. It's treated separately and it has its own due date for zakat. But as far as animals, the livestock that we have mentioned, then
فإن كان الأول غير نصاب لا يضم إليه، يستقبل بالجميع من الآن.
The an'am, which is the term that needs to be known. An'am meaning these livestock that are that we
بقر الغنم الإبل.
Then they
فإن كان الأول أقل من نصاب.
In the beginning, if it actually was nisab, then yes, even if you get it from a different source, then you add it onto it.
نعم. فإن كان أقل من نصاب فتضم الأول للثاني. إذا كان نصابا فهذا الثاني تابع للأول. إذا كان أقل من نصاب فاستقبل من الآن، لو ضم من الجميع، كما كانت 20 من الغنم والآن وجدت 20 فصارت 40، استقبل من الآن.
So then, with the livestock or the animals and so on, it's whether you have reached nisab or not that is calculated. As soon as you reach nisab, then anything else that you get after that is just added onto it and will be paid zakah on. So it doesn't matter when you receive it. It matters, have I reached nisab? As soon as you reach nisab, then you start calculating a year. So what does that mean? So if you have 20, you don't even start counting. Except if they have their progeny, then it would be counted as from the beginning. So you do start counting, forgive me. So if you had 20, then it has its own due date.
اشتريت 20 أخرى.
But then you go and you buy 20 more. And now you have 40, now it owes zakah. Then it wasn't from progeny. It wasn't from their children. So what do? Now you say, okay, now I'm going to start calculating 1 year from today because now I have reached the nisab. So if it was if you add to it from outside, then and by doing so it reaches nisab, then you begin a year from that date. The year, that's the year due date, and you check next year and then pay zakah on it 1 year from that date that it reached nisab. But if you already had nisab from before, it doesn't matter, you buy 100 more, you buy 50 more or whatever, you pay on the due date, you pay on all of it on the due date of the original.
So if you reached 40 and then one of them died or something happens, then it has to be for the duration of 1 year.
شيخ فإن قل عن النصاب فتبدأ مرة أخرى أو
خلي عنك الزكاة. إذا طرأ شيء من نسله ضمه إليه، وإذا طرأ شيء آخر تبدأ الآن من هذا الجانب.
فإن مثلا كان عندك 40 ثم بعد شهرين كان عندك 35،
أكلت منها، بعت منها يعني شيء أو،
ولكن حين فاتت السنة عندك 50
من الأصل أو من شيء جديد؟ من
الأصل.
زكي.
فلا اعتبار إن زاد ونقص عن النصاب.
مهم إذا نقص عن النصاب لا تزكي، فعندما يكمل من أصله زكي لسنة من الأصل. نعم.
فلا اعتبار إن نقص عن النصاب في أثناء
لا ما مشكلة.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it goes below the nisab during that year.
ما دام من النتاج والربح لا بأس.
Once you have 40, then you count it from that day, and then you check a year back the next year if it was from the progeny or from the profit, then you'd pay, even though during the year it fell below the amount of nisab. And of course, but if it fell below the amount or was well below the amount and then you bought some more, then actually the day that you bought more and you reached nisab again, that would be the new due date that you would check.
Okay. So if you reached 40 and then you didn't buy anything else, but the count got lowered, you would still have to pay on that.
A year later, you would have to pay on it if from the progeny of those increased, if at the end of the year it was below over 40, or 40 or and plus.
Okay, so no matter what, at the end of the year you have to have 40 or more.
Yeah, of course,
yeah, it doesn't matter if it fell below.
No.
Whether it fell below and during the year or whatever.
It doesn't matter. As long as you have 40 or more at the end of the year.
As long as at the end of the year you have 40 or more.
From the progeny originally.
From the progeny of the original, yes. Okay. If it's not from the progeny of the original, as we said,
then it's a new date.
Then it's a new date from when you bought the new ones.
ولا يزكى وقص من النعم، يعني أن الوقص ما بين النصابين لا يزكى. إذا كان من النعم ما بين 5 إلى 10 لا يزكى، وما بين 10 إلى 15 لك زيادة لا يزكى. هذه من النعم خاصة.
من كل الأنعام؟
الأنعام الثلاثة. أما بالنسبة للنقود كل ما زادت زكي. 21 دينار تزكي من جميع، 21 دينار ومعها قليل مثقال تزكي من جميع. النقود عندما تبدأ الزكاة كل ما زادت تأخذ منه الزكاة.
بالسين هذا وقص.
الوقص من النعم. وقص بالصاد معناها ما بين النصابين، معناها العقود، معناها ما بين 5 إلى 10.
So the surplus amount or the amount, the in between amount is called a waqas with waw qaf sad, and this is like if somebody has 45 sheep. The 5 he pays the same as if he has 40. So there's brackets.
ما بين 40 إلى 121 هذا زكاة.
So there's brackets for the animals, for the livestock. Then whatever is between the brackets, you don't have to say, okay, well I have 100 or 121, and then now you got 171. So you're like, okay, I pay zakah on the 121, and then I have 50 in between. Okay, that's more than 40, and I pay again. No, you don't do that. You pay based off of what is between the brackets. You do not pay zakah. But as far as the currency, then it's paid on the total amount.
كل ما زاد على 20 دينارا يزكى، وكل ما زاد على 200 درهم يزكى.
نعم.
من الذهب كل ما بلغ المال يعني 20 من 20 فما زاد ولو مثقالا واحدا يزكى.
نعم. يزكى على الكل.
الكل.
نعم. So as long as the coins or the currency or whatever
بلغ حد النصاب وبعد ذلك
reach the level of nisab, then the
لا يوجد وقص يعني
there's no such thing as brackets. There's no in between amount. The zakah is paid on the whole amount.
Do you pay the percentage as if you had the camels of 120? You
No,
do
no,
the
no.
50, and then the 20, and then you divide that, and then you give it.
You don't calculate the value of the camels. Camels, zakah is paid in the animals, as we said, and that's it. As far as on wealth, it's paid in money.
كذلك ما دون النصاب، كذلك إذا لم يبلغ المال نصابا دون 5 أسواق أو دون 5 من الإبل أو دون 40 من الغنم أو دون 20 دينار من الذهب هذا زكاته.
And something that is below the nisab, no zakat is paid on it.
واليعام وعسل هاي الأشياء أيضا لا زكاة فيها العسل والفواكه والخضروات هاي لا زكاة فيها.
So honey and fresh fruits and vegetables and so on, there's no zakat that's paid on it.
ويحصل النصاب من صنفين كذهب وفضة من عين. إذا كان الجنس واحدا لكن الأصناف تختلف لأن العين تقال للذهب والفضة والغنم تقال للضأن والمعز والإبل تقال للبخت وهي إبل خراسان والعراب وهي إبل العرب والبقر يقال الجواميس والحمر يعني جواميس هو بقر مصر صغير جدا والآخر يقال بقر. إذا كان جنس واحد ولكن أصنافه مختلفة فيضم بعضه إلى بعضه.
So if there's two things that are of the same general type, then you include them as part of one another. For example, in Arabic, ghanam refers to sheep and goats. So if you have 20 goats and 20 sheep, then you have 40.
العين الذهب والفضة.
Ayn refers to gold and silver, and they're equivalent. So
إذا عندك 100 درهم و10 دنانير.
So you have 20 dinars and 50 dirhams, or 500 Mauritanian whatever, and $1,000, and this and money from different kinds, or gold, silver. All of it is included in its value, and there's the way you calculate it. So you calculate it together. And if you have, for example, as far as camels, there's the Bactrian camels, the Arabian camels, the two-humped camels that are like the Asian camels, and then there's or the Persian camels, and then there's the Arabian camels which have the one hump. And then there's the as far as so all it doesn't matter the types of camels you have, they're all counted as camels. If you have cows, if you have some cows and some bison and some water buffalo, they're all counted as cows.
والقمح والشعير السلت يصاب كذلك اللجنات الثلاث القمح والشعير والسلت هذه تضم.
So if you have barley or wheat or a sult, ما هو sult?
نوع قريب من القمح.
It's something similar to them. Don't want to make something up.
If the tax.
Then if they're all included, they are added to each other basically. If you have 5 wasaqs, 5 awsuq total of them combined.
كذا القطاني أنواع القطاني كلها اللوبيا والبسيلة والجلبان والفول والعدس والحمص.
And the different types of legumes like lentils and so on.
7 أصناف.
There's 7 types of it. Actually.
والزبيب أنواع الزبيب.
And the raisins, all the different types of raisins.
وكذلك التمور.
And the different types of dates as well.
نعم مصرفه الفقير والمسكين. من تعطى له الزكاة؟ من تعطى له الزكاة؟ الفقير وهو الذي لا يملك ما يكفيه سنة، ما عنده وظيفة يستخدمها شهريا تكفيه سنة وما عنده من المال ما يكفيه سنة.
So then as far as the
من تعطى له الزكاة؟
يعني وظيفة تكفيه سنة.
كم الواحد مهندس أو معلم، أنت أستاذ الآن وكل شهر يعطوك كفايتك، عندك كفاية سنة. فإذا كان أنت الوظيفة اللي تعطى لك لا تكفي سنة وليس عندك من المال ما يكفيك سنة.
الوظيفة تكفي سنة يعني
معناها شهريا كل سنة تأخذ، أنت عندك وظيفة تأخذ منها كل سنة.
نعم.
هي معدل غني يعني هي وظيفة.
نعم.
أو عندك مهنة خياط أو جزار وأنت تشتغل ما وقفت المهنة. معناها لا يكون عندك سنة ولكن دائما كل شهر تأخذ ما تحتاج. تحصل هذا كان هذه المهنة كأنها تكفيك سنة. فإذا كان إنسان وظيفته لا تكفي كم واحد يعمل عمل رديء أو لا يشتغل وهو ليس عنده من المال ما لا يكفي سنة.
So then as far as the
من تعطى له الزكاة مصرف الزكاة.
Who is the zakah given to? The zakah is given to, the first is the faqir, the poor person who is counted as the one who does not have the wealth for an entire year, that he does not have his needs for an entire year taken care of, or a job that he could be paid from it monthly, but that he has that would take care of his needs for the year. That means that if a person either one that they're unemployed and don't have enough money to sustain them for a year, then they are eligible to receive zakah, or they are employed but their job is not enough to take care of their needs, then they can be given zakah.
والمسكين وهو من ليس عنده شيء مطلقا.
And the impoverished person, the miskin, which means somebody who is impoverished, means they don't have anything at all.
نعم. غاز الجهاد في سبيل الله ولا أرى الآن أي جهاد في هذه الدنيا الآن.
And then another group, the third group now is the ghazi, the one who is fighting in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I don't see anyone today who is doing so.
هؤلاء فقط يفسدون في الأرض ولا يصلحون.
The people who are doing this today, they're causing corruption in the land, and they're not bringing about benefit by their fighting.
لا أظن أحدا يعطيهم المال إلا هو أكثر آثم في الدنيا.
I don't think anyone who gives their money to these people who are killing people in the name of Islam, that except that this person is a corrupter in the land himself.
وعتق لعبد.
And another group is
عتق العبيد منها.
the freeing the slave.
نعم هذا لا يوجد عندكم الآن كثيرا.
And also this is not very common.
عامل من يجمع الزكاة يعطى له أجرته منها. الساعي اللي يأتي بالزكاة.
And then the one who is the zakat collector, they are also eligible to receive the zakat.
أجرته منها. مدين شخص يطلب بالديون وليس له مال يقضي به الديون.
So also a person who receives who owes debt and doesn't have the money to pay their installment on their debt, to pay their what is immediately due of them in their debt, it is permissible for them to receive zakat to pay off that debt.
مؤلف القلب غني ولكنه مؤلف القلب. واحد اختلف العلماء في تفسير المؤلفة قلوبهم. بعضهم يقول من كان قريبا من الإسلام وهو عنده مال. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. تعطيه من المنح حتى يدخل الإسلام. بعضهم قال من دخل في الإسلام ولكنه ما زال ضعيفا في الدين يعطى له من الزكاة ولو غنيا لأجل أن يتألف الإسلام.
And then مؤلفة القلب, the person who, there's a difference of opinion. Who is المؤلفة قلوبهم? The ones who are non-Muslim,
لكنه قريب من الإسلام.
But they're close to Islam. That you could give them something that if you know that this is something that would affect them and would soften their heart towards accepting Islam. Of course, they have to actually believe in Islam and accept Islam to become Muslim. But you believe that this act would soften their heart towards being more receptive and responsive to Islam. Also, there's the other opinion is that no, it's a person who has already accepted Islam but are still weak in their iman, that you can give them this money from your zakat even if they are not normally eligible to receive zakat, just in order to strengthen their heart upon Islam, because this means a lot to some people.
محتاج غريب كذلك أيضا الغريب غني في بلده كما الواحد الآن من بلاد الحجاز أو من بلاد إفريقيا وليس عنده ما يوصله إلى بلده ولا يجد من يعطيه دينا ولا يمكنه أن يصل إليه شيء من ماله فيعطى من الزكاة ما يوصله بلده وهو ابن السبيل كما قال تعالى وابن السبيل.
And Ibn Sabil, the stranger traveler, the one who could very well be a rich man in his land, but then he does not have the wealth to get him back to his land, and he does not find anyone who can lend him money so that he can reach his wealth, and
لا يمكنه الحصول على الوصول بماله ولا بالسلف.
So basically, he cannot find any way to access his money either. So he can't access his money. He doesn't have enough money to reach his money, and he has no one to lend him the money to reach his land where his money is. And this is primarily not found today. People's money are in their bank accounts and they can access them anywhere.
أحرار إسلام يشترط أن يكون حرا لا عبدا وأن يكون مسلما. مصرف الزكاة. اشترط أن يكون حرا لا عبدا وأن يكون مسلما.
That also for a person to receive zakat, they have to be free and not a slave, and they have to be a Muslim.
لا كافرا.
And not a kafir.
لا. ويشترط أن لا يكون من بني هاشم.
And it's also a condition that a person is not from Bani Hashim, not from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
لأنها أوساخ الناس ولا تعطى لهم.
Because the zakah is considered from the impure wealth, from the people, from the not the most noble of the wealth of the people, so therefore this is not given to the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
ولم يقبل مريب من جاءك في شك لا تعرف أنت لا تعرف إنه فقير رأيت عليه إنه بسيارته وملابسه لا تعتقد فيه الفقر ولا وأنت لم تعلم وقد يكون فقيرا وله سيارة وقد يكون فقيرا وله ملابس جيدة لكن أنت شكيت مثلا ما تيقنت مثلا حصل لك ريب فيه قبل أن تتأكد من فقره لا يجوز لك أن تعطيه الزكاة إذا كانت هناك علامات تدل على الشبهة.
So if a person comes to also take zakah money from you
ادعى الفقر
and they're claiming to be poor, but then you have a serious cause of doubt for that they are poor, that you see them maybe having very nice clothes, and some poor people have nice clothes, or maybe they're driving a nice car and some poor people have a nice car.
أكثر الناس الآن يسوق سيارة وهو فقير على الديون فقط.
A lot of people who are poor today drive cars and they owe money on those cars, in fact.
الدين فقط لكن إذا ما كنت تعلم هذا لا يمكن أن.
So then now you're at a state where you are unsure that this person is coming to telling you that they are poor, but the indications show otherwise, and it is not allowed for you to give them the zakat until you make sure that they are in need.
نعم زكاة الفطر انتهينا من زكاة الأموال والآن نذهب إلى زكاة الأبدان. زكاة الأبدان هي زكاة الفطر من رمضان.
So then, as far as the zakah that is based on the wealth that one has, we have concluded this. These are all the
زكاة الأبدان.
Now we will talk about the zakah based upon the number of people in your household.
زكاة الفطر صاع وتجب عن مسلم ومن برزقه طلب من مسلم بجل عيش القوم لتغني حرا مسلما في اليوم. زكاة الفطر من رمضان فرضها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في الحديث صاع هو 4 أمداد بوجه صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الشخص بنفسه وعن كل من تلزمه نفقته من زوجة وأولاد تلزمه نفقتهم وعبيد وآباء إن كانوا محتاجين.
So zakat al-fitr is paid on behalf of the number of people in your household.
عن نفسك.
For oneself included.
ومن تجب عليك نفقته.
And whoever is obligated for you to spend upon.
كمثل الزوجة.
Such as the wife.
ولو غنية.
Even if she's rich. The amount is the same. And you pay it for her. It's
لا يجب عليها النفقة ولا يجب عليها السكن ولو مالها ستعطيه للشارع لا يجب عليها شيء.
Even if she has a lot of money, it is still
سترميه في الشوارع.
And she's going to waste the money. She's going to just toss it in the street. It is not.
لا تجب عليها نفقة نفسها ولا سكن نفسها ولا لباس نفسها ولا فطرة نفسها.
It is not obligatory for the wife to pay the money to house herself, or the reasonable feeding of herself, or reasonable clothing for herself, or any of these things. It is not her responsibility to pay these things. Even if she's wasting her money and she's much richer than the husband, it is still obligatory for the husband to be the one that is taking care of her, of these basic expenses for her, and for her zakat al-fitr.
طبعا ممكن أن يمنعها من الإسراف في شيء الأشياء تتبرع بأكثر من ثلث مالها، ولكن لا يمكن هو أن يجبرها على أن تنفق على نفسها ولا أن تفعل أي شيء بالنسبة لما يمنعها.
So as far as if she's wasting her money, if she's spending on more than 1/3 of her money to donate or to give away,
ممكن يوقفها في مذهب مالك، في مذهب مالك خاصة.
He can prevent her in the Maliki madhab.
ولكن لا يمكن أن يستخدم سنتا واحدا من مالها.
Only in the Maliki madhab can he prevent her from spending
لمصلحتها هي.
What is beyond 1/3 of her money on something, and this is when he sees that she's harming herself by spending this money. So if it's more than 1/3
لمصلحتها هي.
For her own benefit, he can prevent her from spending.
ولكن لا يستخدم دينارا من مالها في البيت ولا في أولاده إلا بطيب نفسها.
But he is not allowed to spend 1 cent of her money or $1 of her money
فيها ولا في أولادها.
On her or on her children, except if she volunteers it completely from her open heart and generosity,
طيب نفسها.
with no pressure at all or obligation or anything.
أما بعض رجال المسلمين الذين يجبرون زوجاتهم على العمل فهذا نوع من المنكر والزور.
As for some Muslim men who are forcing their wives to work
أو يطلبه منها.
or asking their wives to work.
أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين.
I seek Allah's refuge to be from the ignorant.
أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. اللهم احفظنا من الغرب ومن أتباع الغرب. اللهم احفظنا من الغرب ومن يتبع الغرب.
Oh Allah, protect us from the West and those who follow the West.
اللهم إن المسلمين فسدوا فخذ بأيديهم إليك يا رب.
Oh Allah, the Muslims have become corrupted, so take them by the hand.
الناس قالوا إنهم جاءوا بنات يشتكون صديقاتهم قالوا إجبروهم أزواجهم على العمل. يعني يقول لهم أنت لابد أن تعملي.
That some women that came to me, they complained, they said that our friends or our husbands are telling us, our friends are telling us that their husbands are forcing them to work, that they have to
يقول الأولاد كبروا فارجعي للعمل لابد ما في غير.
He's telling his wife, oh, the children are now older, now you have to go back to work.
الأولاد فسدوا وارجعتين الفساد.
So basically he's saying that the children have become corrupted, so you return to your corruption as well.
جميع فاسد. حقيقة فساد في الأرض.
So in reality it's just corruption on top of corruption in the land.
لذلك لا يوجد مسؤولية في البيت. الحياة لا توجد في البيوت.
So this is why nobody has any sense of responsibility in the home. Nobody has ownership of any tasks or responsibility.
لا توجد حياة إنسانية الآن.
There's no human living. There's no decent humanity and cohesiveness in the household.
كله يعمل في مشقة من الحياة فيرجع إلى مشقة من مشقة إلى مشقة.
Everyone is facing the difficulties of life outside and working hard
يخرج
outside.
المشقة ويرجع
So that's
للمشقة.
difficulty. That's a difficulty that is faced normally by the man. But now everybody's going and facing this difficulty, and then they come home and everybody's tired, and then there's a new difficulty in the home.
يتقاسمون العمل ويتقاسمون الطبخ ويتقاسمون الحضان وتفوا بهذه.
So everybody's going from difficulty outside to difficulty inside. They're splitting the responsibilities of the spending, and therefore then you have to split the responsibilities of what? The taking care of the children and cooking the food and so on.
50-50.
50-50.
اللهم إني أكره 50-50.
Allah,
اللهم إني أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أني أكره 50-50.
Oh Allah, you are my witness, and I bear the angels, the bearers of your
وجميع
throne,
خلقك
and all of your angels and all of your creation.
أني أكره 50-50.
Witness that I hate 50-50.
أكرهها ولا أقبلها.
I hate this equal partnership.
ولا أقبلها.
And I do not accept it.
ولن أعمل بها.
And I do not act
ولن
upon it.
أوافق عليها ما دمت حيا.
And I never agree upon it so long as I'm alive.
وافق على خلاف شرع الله سبحانه وجل جلاله.
How could I agree upon something that is contradictory to the way of Allah that
ولا
teaches?
تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار.
Allah says, and do not incline towards the oppressors so that you be
هذا
touched
ظلم
by the
العباد.
fire. This is an oppression for the people.
ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار وما لكم من دون الله من أولياء ثم لا تنصرون.
Do not incline towards the oppressors so that you will be afflicted by the fire and no one
وما
will be
لكم
able
من
to
دون
help you.
الله من أولياء ثم لا تنصرون.
And nobody but Allah will be able to help you, and you will never receive help.
هذا الركون إلى الظالمين من يقولون 50-50 هذا ركون إلى الظالمين. هذا ميل إلى الظالمين. من يقول 50-50 هذا ميل إلى الظالمين.
Those who are saying an equal partnership in everything 50-50, this is leaning and inclining towards the oppressor.
ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون.
And whosoever does not judge according to what Allah has revealed, indeed they are the blasphemers, they are the disbelievers.
حكم الله بذلك إن الحكم إلا لله.
Allah has judged as such.
إن الحكم إلا لله.
The judgment belongs entirely to Allah.
لا أعرف ماذا يفعل المسلمون غباوة. أنت تحكمون الغرب لفسادكم.
So I don't know what kind of foolishness the Muslims are doing that are involved in such corruption, making the Western norms the judge of what is right and wrong in their corruption.
تفضلون حكم الغرب على حكم رب العالمين على حكم رب الغرب ورب المشرق والمغرب.
You're preferring the Western dynamic and norms over the successful marriage dynamic that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place.
وصول زكاة الفطر صعب وتجب على مسلم برزقه طلب من مسلم إذا كان مسلما إذا كانت عليك نفقته مسلم زوجتك مسلمة أو بناتك مسلمات وإن كانوا غير مسلمين فلا تعطي عنهم زكاة الفطر.
So zakat al-fitr is on those who you are responsible for their spending, including yourself, if they are Muslim. فإن كان مثلا
عبيده غير مسلمين أو زوجته ليست مسلمة لا تجب على زكاة الفطر.
So then, in addition to that, a person would be responsible for even a slave in the household. The person would have been responsible.
النفقة واجب عليه ولكن زكاة الفطر لا اشترط فيها الإسلام. لا تجب إلا على
المسلم. Anybody in the household is not Muslim, then you do not owe zakah. زكاة الفطر upon them. فإن كانت مثلا مرأة حامل فهل يدفع على
لا بد من يولد.
So it has to be a child that is born. Even an infant you can pay zakat al-fitr on, but not on the child that is still in the womb.
من مسلم بجل عيش القومي لابد أن تنظر إلى بلدك ماذا كانوا يعيشون به في رمضان. فإن كانوا يعيشون أغلب عيشهم الأرز تعطيها من الأرز 4 أمداد صاع. وإن كان أغلب ما يعيشون به القمح يعني كما يقول فامو يعني تعطيها من القمح 4 أمداد صاع.
يعني 4 أمداد على كل شخص.
على كل شخص.
So then there's 4 muds that are paid for each individual that you owe that you're taking care of. It doesn't matter how rich, how poor. 4 muds per person. Zakat al-fitr, which is paid, and we'll say when it is paid. And 4 muds of what? 4 muds are the handfuls of the Prophet ﷺ that we mentioned, the regular, even, normal, average handful that are paid of the staple food of that people, of that like whether it's rice or whether it's wheat in America and so on that people pay that is their staple grain.
وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.
متى يدفع شيخ
زكاة الفطر من غروب ليلة العيد يبدأ الوجوب من ذلك الوقت. هذا قول. وقول القانون تجب بطلوع الفجر ولكن يجوز أن تعطى من 27 في رمضان. في مذهب مالك وغير مالك يمكن تعطى في كل الشهر.
So then as far as the Maliki madhab, it is the tightest. When is the zakat al-fitr due? It is due, difference of opinion.
تجب. متى تجب?
When is it required, obligated by the evening before, meaning the maghrib, before
بعد غروب الشمس وقت الغروب.
after sunset, the night before Eid.
The Eid.
And then meaning the Eid night itself.
نعم. وقيل أنه بطلوع الفجر.
And also meaning the night before the Eid prayer. And then it is also said that it is due by the morning of the Fajr prayer of the Eid. And then, but when can you pay it? The earliest in the Maliki madhab is on the 27th of Ramadan.
ولكن غير مالك يمكن تدفع فيه.
And after that, and other than the Maliki madhab, you can pay it any time in Ramadan.
وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الدرس الليلة حول وأن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل.
And inshallah, we will conclude here and I say the statement of mine and seek Allah's forgiveness for all of us. And inshallah, the lesson tonight at 9:30 will be in regard to the verse where Allah says,
وأن هذا وفي رواية وإن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون.
And this is my path, straightforward, So follow it and do not follow the other paths that they would then lead you astray.
ستسمعون أنكم في الطرق الآن أنكم في الطرق الآن.
This is what he advises you with, so that you may achieve taqwa, and you will see that what you
أن الآن غالب المسلمين في هذه الطرق الضالة.
Most Muslims today are in those other paths and not on the straight path.
So the first question was in regards to the surplus. He said that you don't count what's in between the brackets.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like 120, then you don't count the 121. You just do the 120.
No, the bracket for the sheep was 121, and the next bracket was 201.
Okay, so whatever.
So the minimum bracket is 40.
No.
So if you say, for example, I have
between the 40 and the 21.
Or you between 40 and 121. At 40 you owe 1 sheep.
No.
You only owe 2 sheep when you reach 121.
Oh.